Let's now focus our attention on the African Union. It might be Africa's renegade nation, but tiny South African state of Botswana is not apologetic for rejecting the African Union resolution to terminate ICC cases in the region. The only dissident in the continent, Botswana, says the AU has got it wrong and its latest affront against the ICC may not yield much. In an exclusive interview with KTN, Samogina, Botswana's ambassador to Kenya, John Moretti, says African Union is playing politics with the judicial process.
On the verge of petitioning the United Nations Security Council an anti-ICC resolution laced with threats of African nations withdrawing from the Rome Statute, the single but bold dissenting nation to the AU Heads of State Summit resolution, Botswana, says the continental body's stance is rather political than pragmatic.
The decision by Botswana to offer a different suggestion to what the AU came up with was not intended at hurting the relations with Kenya. It wasn't even focused on the leadership of Kenya. It was focused on sort of making the AU appreciate that it is important to build more bridges of understanding with the international community rather than pull Africa away from its international obligations.
The South African tiny nation says out of the 53 nations that rubber-stamped the referral or termination motion of the ICC cases, merely half are state parties to the Rome Statute that domesticated the ICC, and that arithmetic may just be AU's main undoing.
The approach should have been maybe mandate members of the ICC within the African Union to go and pursue the case at the conference of parties of the ICC. Maybe that would have been the best approach.
AU is independent and they have a right to lobby the way they want to lobby. I don't think that there's anything that is wrong with that at all.
Botswana quips the AU resolution may antagonize the court rather than help its cause, and that marshalling African nations to withdraw from the Rome Statute if its wishes are vetoed is retrogressive and undermines the championing of peace and stability of African democracies.
Those who have been unhappy with the conduct of the prosecutor are not necessarily unhappy with the court, because they overwhelmingly supported the formation, the Rome Statute, which established the court. So I don't think there's a problem with the court.
Despite being overshadowed by the majority vote at the AU summit, Botswana paints a portrait of a country steadfast to respect its international obligations, and as such says that only African nations, state parties to the Rome Statute that has domesticated the ICC, may petition the UN Security Council to trigger any sort of action. Samogina, KTN, Nairobi.